For decades, conflict in the Middle East followed a strict, unspoken script. Rivals engaged in shadow wars and proxy battles, but two lines were almost never crossed: total domination of an enemy's airspace and direct military strikes on nuclear assets. A major reason for those boundaries was Israel's airspace, widely considered an impenetrable fortress. This reputation was built on systems like the Iron Dome, a network of radar and interceptor missiles designed to calculate and shoot down incoming rockets before they ever reached populated areas. Iranian ballistic missiles recently saturated these radar networks, overwhelming interceptors, and proving that even the most protected airspace has a breaking point. The billion-dollar defense systems, including the Patriot and THAAD batteries, were bypassed entirely by the sheer volume and speed of the incoming strikes. This escalation followed a direct provocation. The US and Israel had repeatedly bombed Natanz, Iran's primary underground uranium enrichment facility, in an attempt to disable their nuclear fuel cycle. Iran retaliated with a tit-for-tat message. They fired missiles that landed right next to the Shimon Peres Negev Nuclear Research Center in Dimona. This facility is the birthplace of Israel's own secretive nuclear weapons program, opened in 1958 in collaboration with France. A nation's most closely guarded existential secrets are now physically vulnerable to conventional strikes. The decades-old taboo against targeting nuclear infrastructure has dissolved, leaving the safety net of high-tech air defense in tatters. This leaves the region facing a terrifying geopolitical math problem. What happens when a nuclear-armed state realizes its standard missiles and aircraft can no longer guarantee its survival? Military strategists refer to the answer as the Samson option. It is a theoretical Israeli military doctrine that allows for extreme nuclear retaliation if the state faces mortal peril. If the nation falls, the doctrine dictates it must bring its attackers down with it. Deterrence relies on the certainty that an attack will be stopped or punished. With the Iron Dome's failure and missiles impacting near the Dimona reactor, survival is no longer a guaranteed outcome of conventional defense. This vulnerability is what shifts the Samson option from a historical footnote into the center of current military strategy. Enter Donald Trump. Stepping into this volatile mix, he issued a strict 48-hour ultimatum to Iran: keep the Strait of Hormuz open, or the U.S. military will destroy the Iranian electrical grid, plunging the entire country into darkness. Issuing absolute ultimatums when your opponent has already proven they can bypass your defenses traps everyone involved. There is no room left to negotiate. Both sides are stepping onto an escalation ladder, where the only remaining rung is nuclear. Trump's threat to target the electrical grid reveals a glaring strategic blind spot regarding infrastructure. Middle Eastern allies rely on centralized power grids. Iran, however, operates on a vastly decentralized architecture. To plunge Iran into darkness, bombers wouldn't just hit a handful of targets. They'd have to locate and destroy over 400 power plants spread across a mountainous territory. Iran immediately countered the ultimatum by expanding its own target list. If their civilian power plants are hit, Iran declared it will wipe out the highly centralized tech infrastructure of U.S. allies in the Gulf, specifically aiming at the data centers run by companies like Amazon and Microsoft. Iran's target list extends to the region's desalination plants, sprawling industrial complexes that convert ocean saltwater into the Gulf's primary source of drinking water. In the wealthy Gulf states, 90% of the drinking water comes from these coastal facilities. They are highly centralized, fully exposed to ballistic strikes, and completely irreplaceable in the short term. Advanced stealth bombers and high-tech militaries offer very little leverage when your opponent can achieve complete societal collapse simply by turning off your internet and destroying your drinking water. Relying on heavy bombing campaigns to break an enemy's infrastructure is a known strategic failure. Military historians often refer to it as the Vietnam trap, the assumption that raining fire from the sky will eventually force a population to surrender. The psychological reality of war dictates the opposite. Destroying a population's civilian infrastructure rarely breaks their will to fight. Historically, it hardens their resolve and unites them against the country dropping the bombs. Before this escalation, the Iranian government was facing significant domestic anger and internal protests. Now, by threatening to plunge the civilian population into darkness, the US and Israel risk uniting a previously fractured Iranian public directly against them. Meanwhile, international diplomacy has ground to a halt. The G7 recently issued a statement that condemned Iran's retaliation, yet remained silent on the initial bombing of the Natanz nuclear site that triggered it. This selective outrage leaves no neutral party to negotiate a ceasefire. America cannot easily step away to de-escalate. Withdrawing from the Middle East means abandoning military bases and risking a profound economic shock to the petrodollar system, the practice of trading oil exclusively in U.S. currency. Diplomacy is paralyzed, defenses have been shattered, and Iran is now dictating the terms of engagement. The Middle East is no longer operating under the old rules of a standard war zone. It is trapped in a fatal countdown toward total infrastructure and nuclear collapse.